So, you like music?
No. Something's wrong with me, Papa.
इस घर में एक गाने वाली नहीं रह सकती।
So, Anvita, Kala is a very different kind of film which we don't get to see often on Indian screen. So, what was your vision about it, behind it?
So, I think, of course, when I set out to tell a story, I'm not thinking of let me make it different. The stories are very. They're about things that really move me and that bother me, or things that I want to say. So all I'm trying to do is do that in the best possible way. So the vision for it was actually just this, that I felt that not enough stories are there about mothers and daughters, and not enough stories about we have stories about underdogs, we have stories about the hero's journey, and we never really talk about yahan kya ho raha hai, ya yahan kya ho raha hai. So what's happening in your head and heart, and what are the things, insecurities and frailties that you're dealing with, and something that we never speak about is that all of us deal with that feeling of the lack of validation, or not being enough, or just not just seeking approval from people, and sometimes those things lead us to make wrong choices and decisions for our lives. And I wanted to talk about these things. I wanted to say that this, because it's important for me. I feel that we all need to learn that lesson of that if we don't think that we are enough, the only person who can make us feel that is us, and not our bosses, not our life partners or siblings or our parents. Only we can make ourselves feel whole, and when that doesn't happen, we break, and sometimes it's our cry for help is not loud enough, or is not heard, and that leads to things, just our life just falling apart, and that is something that I'm trying so hard not to give away spoilers.
From the beginning, it was just going to be the world was going to be set around music. From the beginning, when you started writing, that is the idea you had?
No. So I knew that I wanted to tell a story about a mother and a daughter, and about validation, and about upbringing, and the pressures of navigating this world within your personal relationships and your profession. I knew that. And like I said, in 2013, when I was talking to Vishal, it happened on that very day that we were actually talking about music and the music industry, and what it feels like to be a woman in this industry, and what it must have been like then. We spoke about stuff like that. And when I was driving back home from that meeting is when the two things just kind of clicked together. And I was like, oh my God, I'll place, I'll wrap this very, very, harsh story in this silken ribbon of music, and say what I have to say through that.
I don't know whether I should call you brave when I say this. You don't spell out much. You rather take the help of symbolism and aesthetics to convey what you are trying to say, to express yourself. So does that come organically to you, being the kind of person you are?
I think it's a combination, Alka. One is, yes, it does. It is to do with how I am. But it is also, I feel that life is like that, and you learn lessons through metaphors. You see symbolism everywhere, and you see pieces of art that tell you something about a period or the artist, and also I believe that my audience is intelligent, that because normal people out there are intelligent, they can read symbolism, metaphors, especially our culture. Indians are all about metaphors, you know, and so they get it. I feel they get it. So I'm not going to disrespect them by trying to spoon feed them. And I will. It's even more interesting because sometimes, you know, the sun will be shining brightly, and the room that you are in will be very pretty, and your heart will be breaking, or your mind will be cracking. So the world continues to be beautiful around you, and terrible things can happen. And that is something that I like to capture. I don't like to make it, it's not pathetic fallacy that तो लड़की को रोना आ रहा है तो फिर बारिश हो रही है, नहीं, धूप निकली होगी. You know, sometimes really the world is singing and you are just sobbing. You know, it happens. So I like
your aesthetics comes in, say, from the scripting stage itself. You start thinking, visualizing, because the scenes in Kala is exquisite. It's heartbreaking, but also exquisite. One cannot ignore the beauty of the way you have framed each scene. So, a bit about your process there.
I think one part of the process is that all my life I have been drawn to beauty, whether it's in the written word and or art or music. So it's a very important part of who I am. Okay, so it's my default setting. Aesthetics are my default setting. So I am not trying to be aesthetic. It is how I think. So even when I'm writing, if you see how I write my scripts, the description of things are evocative. So that is there. Then come my HODs, Siddharth Devan, Meenal, you know, all these people have my kind of aesthetics and they understand the way I think. So my reference for Kala was for like the Mountain House, her childhood home was Dutch Golden Age. And for the Calcutta period was Art Nouveau, because it was house of oppression, house of delirium. So the two art forms that best do it, and these two HODs understand that, and they bring so much to the table. They elevate whatever I'm thinking. So it's incredible. So the aesthetics come in, but they come in as part of storytelling. Yes, it looks beautiful, but how, you know, those mountain houses of that particular kind of society looked like that. But to bring in that feeling of okay, this is how Kala feels. She feels overwhelmed by this. Or in the Calcutta house, everything is spiral, everything is curling, everything. It's like her mind. It's like her mind is spiraling, you know. So everything is adding to what she's feeling. So there is a small detail, since we are only going to release this after that. There's that moment when her mind cracks, you know, that feeling of that thing that happens, which is, so I still remember when we were in school, they used to do the Rorschach test on us, the ink blot. And because it belongs to, and now I believe they don't do it, but when I was in school, they used to do it. And so for me, that thing of an ink blot, ink, stories, paper, an ink blot, that tells you what a person's mind is, okay? Which is why that ink blot moment happens and it disintegrates into many moths. So there's a tiny detail in the costume and in the production design. There are moths everywhere. From the childhood, you know, to her saris, to everything. It's almost like I am giving you clues. It's subliminal clue, but I'm telling you the moths are there. So the moths in her mind have been there from the beginning, because her mother rejected her then. That my son, you're not the son, you know, the son that she was expecting. She was fine with the daughter because she was expecting the other child. And because it meant that she took away the son, she's rejected her. The primary caregiver rejected her. And she just rejected her again and again and again. Now, if the person who you think knows everything tells you that you are nothing, you believe it. So that is there in our design, in our cinematography, in our visual language. I'm hoping that is coming across.
No, you also do a wishful course correction in the film when she's corrects when Kala corrects the musician, I think, and says that why woman secretary? Why can't she be a secretary? So these are your wishes being reflected in the story, because this
Absolutely.
conversation only happened now. Yeah.
I remember the first time that I was called a female lyricist. I was like, yeah, Dimpu, Amitabh ko to koi nahi bolta male lyricist. And the same thing happened with the writer. Same thing happened when I became a director. I was like, my biology has nothing to do with my intellect. Judge me for my work, you know. But unfortunately, because our numbers are so few right now, Alka, that our gender gets attached to the thing, which is fine because I understand it. There are not enough of us, so it's a thing to be talked about. But my wish is that there will come a day that you will just call me what I am. I'm a warrior, you know. I am not a female warrior. I'm just a warrior. It is what I want.
And also, it's beautiful that Kala has these allies in Majru, in Nasiban Appa, and Sudha. So these are your what to say? These are the world of empathy that you want. Is it because you want to create a world of empathy and also show that what could have been done? You know.
Yes, it's actually that. It is a thing of the hope for Kala, that feeling that, you know, if actually Nasiban should have been the mother. She's the mother. The you know, you always have that intellectual thing. This would have been the right person for me. You know, sometimes you don't recognize it. Majru should have been that support system, that brother. What maybe Jagan had the opportunity to be, but maybe did not act upon. You know, these are people who have come into her life to help her. That rise that has happened wouldn't have happened if these people were not there. But sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes you're also blindsided by what you're feeling. You're so fragile that sometimes you don't recognize that this is help. And my hope for women that, you know, reach out, call that friend. You know, when Sudha says at the end कि मैं किसी को बुलाऊं, नसीबन आपा को बुलाऊं, it breaks my heart. I remember I was sobbing at that point in time behind the camera, because sometimes we don't make that call. And I want to tell everybody, pick up that phone, talk to them. You know, they'll be there for you. They'll love you. They are your safety. And that doesn't happen all the time.